Come and get it, everybody. ChiroFEAST is online and we are ready to serve. There's been this unwritten thing between chiropractors looking for interns and interns and young associates looking for chiropractors. And there's this unwritten thing. It's kind of a cat and mouse game of the doctor needs help and wants to make his or her life a little easier, have some help around the office, get some notes done, and just get some of the monotony taken care of in the office and take some pressure off of them, allow them maybe a little bit more free time, for goodness sakes. And you've got a young doctor that is looking to learn how to be an entrepreneur, how to be a business person, how to manage patients, how to adjust better, how to become a great chiropractor. And so there's this balance. How do we make it all happen? What are the expectations on both sides? And how do we come in and make that happen? That is what this podcast is all about today. How do we make that happen? How do you make it a win-win? If it's not a win-win, it shouldn't take place. It needs to be a win-win. So listen in as we did this boot camp with young interns, young associates, and seasoned doctors, and what these expectations are so you can get it out in the open a little bit and put all the cards on the table and let's talk about it. And that's what you're in for today. So please enjoy. I'm excited for this conversation. I have no idea what some of you are going to say, but I'm going to be interviewing some young interns. I'm going to be interviewing some young associates. I'm going to be asking questions of some of the docs on this call to give honest opinion about expectations. And I think we're going to have some fun because we're just going to hear some raw honesty about what it is that a young intern is looking for and what it is that a young associate is looking for. And for the associates that might be listening to this, and I had a lot of requests from doctors to watch the recording of this. So there's a lot of people that are really interested in this topic. And basically, where we're going to go today is how do we navigate young doctors, young future doctors, interns, and how do we keep them happy? I mean, this is my world. I want everybody to be happy. Maybe that's a fault of mine. Is that I really desire to have everybody happy, which is really hard. That's a hard place to live, just so you know, because there's no way to keep everybody happy all the time. But I want young interns to have their expectations met. And then I also want to push interns to expand their expectations. Okay. And so we're going to talk about that too. And then the same question goes to associates. I want young associates to feel like they've got a great opportunity and that they are getting everything out of a young doctor associateship for their future. And then doctors, I want you to get everything you can out of having a young doctor in your office, whether it be an intern or an associateship. So this requires us all to be almost ridiculously honest with each other so that we can, kind of clear the air a little bit and find out a little bit more. So I'm going to introduce a few different people here so you kind of know who is on the call here. We've got Taylor. Taylor, you are a new intern, trimester 8 intern at Northern Life Wellness. So wave to everybody, Taylor. Okay, and then we've got Mitch, Mitch Miller. He is a young intern with us as well, trimester 8 student at Northwestern. Taylor's also at Northwestern. Mitch has just joined us at Northern Life Wellness as well. Two brand new associates. Well, Preston, you're not brand new anymore. You're pretty seasoned. You've been at Woodbury Spine for a number of years now, but I'm still going to call you young because you're younger than me. Okay, you're not bald yet, although
That's
that's
true.
you know it. It's going to happen, man. Eventually, it's going to go. And Taylor, you got nice hair, but that's got to go too. Um, and then we got Noah as well. Noah, you just joined Woodbury Spine as an associate just in the last couple months as well.
Yep.
So we got a couple of young associates. Um, uh, Dr. Brady's on this call. He's a seasoned associate at Northern Life. Koo is on the call here. He's got a ton of experience at Woodbury Spine and now his own clinic. And Dr. Brian has seen so many people over the years at Northern Life Wellness, and he's now got his clinic up in Grand Rapids. Danny, you've got a ton to offer as well. So this call should have engagement in it. I'm going to ask all of you to engage in this. Think about what's your next question. What are you going to ask? And you can ask it of anybody that's here. So with that, I'm going to start, and I've got a handful of questions like prepared here, but this conversation can go in any direction. And there's no wrong answer, just so you know. Don't feel like you need to like say the appropriate thing in your answer. There is no appropriate thing, just the truth. A real answer to our questions is going to be great. Okay, that's kind of sets us up here, and I think I'm going to start with Taylor and Mitch because you guys are on the front end of internships. Okay, trimester 7 at Northwestern, and Noah, you can give us a little experience of maybe how things are different with Palmer because you went to Palmer University for chiropractic school. Um, but Mitch and Taylor, let's start with Taylor. Taylor, tell me a little bit about as a trimester 7 student, or maybe it was earlier. When did you start thinking to yourself, "Oh, I need to make sure that I find a good place to do an internship"?
Yeah. I I think that I was like from an early start to the school experience career, I was looking for an in opportunities, relationships, place to internship really. And I think that with that, I was probably always in the back of my mind, never pursuing it hard, but always in the back of my mind, okay, like where do I want to be? Where do I want experience? Because I know what 2.5 years from the start of school, it's not going to be that long. It's going to fly by, and it did. So I wasn't actively pursuing internship probably until about T5, and that's probably when I met you. And like, I mean, I met you early on, but when I really started to get to know you, and we had kind of started to build that relationship a little bit, also getting to know Dr. Tony Lawther as well, and then Dr. Ken Wilson as well. Great doc, and just kind of dipping my toes in the water, really just trying to meet people. And then kind of about midway through school is when I was really trying to pursue a solid relationship that could potentially turn into an internship.
Okay. Mitch, how was your experience or your process any different than that?
Yeah, so um, I had shadowed and met with docs, around the Twin Cities area and got along with a fair number of them, but kind of most of them I got the feeling like I'm not sure if I would enjoy being here. Seemed like more just kind of going through the motions. And long term, I'm not planning to be in the Twin Cities, so I wasn't as proactive as Taylor was. I was more like, well, I'll get some experience in, find a good fit for me, see some things that I'm not used to, and go from there. And kind of early on last term, Taylor had already agreed to intern with you, and he had mentioned to me that you were looking to take someone else on. And I came down to the clinic, and I thought we had an incredible conversation, and really didn't talk much about internship stuff. More talked about our, philosophies of chiropractic, our approach to how we, you know, want to take care of people and foster relationships with our patients, things like that. And I, seemed like an incredible fit, and very, very pleased and happy with how things have turned out from there.
Mhm.
Um, if if you had to say, so I'm going to ask this of any of you on this call, during school, during chiropractic school, if you had to guess, how many chiropractic clinics did you visit or set foot in before you graduated? So during your school years, how many did you actually go into to see how they're set up, to see what they were doing, maybe to meet the doctor, maybe to look for an internship or just just experience being in a different clinic? How many would you say that you visited?
I think I only visited Jeff. I think I visited yours and I visited one other clinic. But I had a great internship experience when I was an undergrad as well, where I was a CA at a big clinic in Yankton, South Dakota,
Okay.
for a whole year. So I mean I've been in the clinic for many like a whole year before I even came to chiropractic school as well. So I had a good idea of kind of what I wanted to go to and find. Going into chiropractic school already.
Okay.
Hmm.
And my experience was a little bit different. Sorry for the voice, battling a little something here today. Um, so for me, I was kind of unique. I had no clue what I was doing until basically the spring of my last year of undergrad. And actually, Northern Life was the very first clinic I toured or shadowed at. Got to speak and sit down with Jeff in his office, which was great. And then I went back to my undergrad. I shadowed a couple of places around southeast Wisconsin. And then finally got my first adjustment back home in Green Bay. So if you want to call that a shadowing opportunity, sure. Um, and then I think it was only one other one here in the Twin Cities that I shadowed. Otherwise, every other shadowing opportunity I had, I was here at Northern Life, diving more into what this place looks like, taking Dr. Jeff's brain, learning about, how I could fit in here because I was just impressed with the setup and the energy that Northern Life brings. So a little bit different, but still got to shadow quite a few.
Noah, how about you? Because you're in Davenport, right? Did you go to Davenport?
Yeah, I was in Davenport.
Okay, so how many clinics did you jump into and just see before you starting to do your internship?
Yeah, a little just for people at Northwestern. I'm not sure if you guys are familiar with how Palmer runs it, but we don't get to shadow or intern at multiple docs. We get to shadow just during our T10, right? So our last trimester. That might be because the volume of clinic at Palmer, Maine is pretty big, and we were able to get hands-on while staying on campus. But I didn't have the opportunity to see how clinics were ran across the Twin Cities because I wasn't around the Twin Cities. I had to be on campus. So I would say I got to visit about 5 different clinics, those being here in Woodbury or, just right outside of the area. I'd say there was about 5 of them, and then Woodbury Spine was actually the last place that I was able to come to, and because I wasn't able to have those experiences interning for other docs, I just had a long, like, ongoing list of things I was looking for in the short amount of time while I was going from clinic to clinic here in the Twin Cities. So I just made sure I spent a lot of time on that list, and this place had nearly everything on it. And so that's just kind of like my experience through the looking for a place to internship and how I ended up here.
Yeah. Koo or Brian, you guys, or Ivy, Dr. Ivy has joined us as well. Any guys have comments on that?
Yeah, I would say that like looking back on my experience, long story short, my mom actually used to go to Dr. Shar, who practice shares with Dr. Jeff. So I had seen the inside of a clinic before. So that kind of image was already in my mind, and I kind of knew what I liked and what I didn't like from that. But I hadn't really started shadowing clinics until Dr. Jeff, when did I come to one of your big fish seminars? Like, was that T4, T5, I want to say?
Yeah, T4, T5, probably.
T4, T5, maybe even as early as T3. I can't quite remember in my mind anymore. But what became of that was I shadowed a couple of clinics that I can't even remember the names of anymore. And it was just kind of an instant like, well, that's not what I want. But when I met Dr. Jeff at the Big Fish rally, a big thing that came of it was it kind of became almost like a quick speed dating thing. It was like, here's all these other clinics that are in the same sort of realm of practice that we are here. They have kind of the same belief system. Um, and so it kind of became like a quick speed date thing where it was just kind of like, if you want to shadow this clinic, go talk to this guy. If you want to shadow this clinic, go to this guy. But long story short, I kind of already knew what I wanted. And luckily I was able to um, end up interning at Dr. Jeff's clinic. So I guess my biggest advice to interns is go with your gut. And if you know what you like, try and just like stick to it and find that clinic. Don't try and like be like, well, I should diversify stuff. It's like, no, get the experience that you're after.
So I'll just add to Dr. Brian. I think he said everything right. Um, for me, it was more like I needed someone who I could follow, right? And so if I saw the chiropractor, I mean, there was a chiropractor that I shadowed that was like down the street from Justin, and they wore white jackets, you know, and they wore white jackets. They had 15 minutes appointments, and I knew that's not what I wanted. You know, and when I came to visit Dr. Justin's office, I didn't even know if he would take me because he had never met me. He didn't even know how I found him. And so then he was like, if you really like it here, why don't you come back again? And then if you can make a decision then, right? And then the second time I showed up, he's like, don't ever wear a tie and suit ever again. Then I knew I was in the right spot. I just didn't know that the coaching had already started before I knew it was going to start. So
There you go. That's awesome. Well, and just so you guys know, and here's one of my wishes for chiropractic schools. I wish that in trimester one that they gave an assignment to everybody and said, you have this entire trimester to complete this, but you have to visit 6 clinics and you need to do a summary, like a 3-paragraph summary about the services they provide, the things that you like about the clinic, the things that you don't like about the clinic, and do that for 6 clinics. And then they should have the same assignment, except it's due at the end of trimester 10. And it's for you to visit 12 clinics total. So you already do 6 in trimester 1, but then you got to do another 6 before you leave. And the reason you want to actually step foot into clinics, and I think this is really important, the reason an intern, a young doctor who's in school, you need to set foot in the clinic because certain things you don't know that you dislike until you see them. Or certain things that you think you dislike, but all of a sudden you don't know until you see them or experience them. I'll give you a couple examples. Dr. Koo just said one. He knew he didn't want to wear a tie and a white coat and spend 15 minutes with a patient, but you can't see that necessarily on somebody's website. Okay, so you got to set foot in the clinic and watch them work. You got to see what they're wearing, right? You got to see how much time they spend with patients. Now, when you're a student, you don't know what's good or bad. You're developing. And I'm not saying that 15 minutes with a patient is wrong. I'm just saying it is what it is. And as a student, you should be open to the fact, why does that doctor spend 15 minutes or 20 minutes with a patient? There might be great reasons, and maybe as a student, you want to have a practice like that. But then you go to another practice and you see somebody get adjusted and it took like literally 90 seconds and they're off doing something else in the clinic and they're out the door. And then being able to ask the question to the doctor, why do you do it that way? What's the benefit of doing it that way? A common one that I experience is that if people don't know what it feels like to be in an open adjusting area, okay? A lot of clinics have a bunch of little rooms, right? So, people have a preconceived notion about that being, oh, I would never want to, adjust people in a wide open room. But until you set foot in our clinic and actually experience it, I guarantee you, like 99 out of 100 people that have shadowed our office, once they set foot in it and see how an open concept office works, they go, oh, this is what it feels like. This is great. I love this. It's like a giant coffee shop. Everybody's having fun and engaging, and this is entertaining. And
And
they completely changed their mind. Any comments on that?
I was just gonna say that's kind of exactly what I was talking about before, where I knew what I wanted, but I didn't quite know how to put into words. It was that open room adjusting. When I went into other clinics, especially being a taller guy, 6'2", it's when you go into those teeny tiny rooms, you're like, not only do I feel like my patient would feel more claustrophobic in here, it's not as fun, it's not as social, but I feel claustrophobic in here. I don't feel that I can deliver the best adjustment, engage in the way that I want to. And so I would say that that's definitely was my experience, was seeing that open adjusting setting was something that kind of set the bar for all my other viewing opportunities from there on forward.
100%. Yeah. And when I go and I speak, so I do a lot of speaking at the school. Not because I need these speaking opportunities, but I like to have an influence on the next generation of chiropractors. So I look for opportunities to speak at clubs. A lot of the people on this call heard me speak during trimester 1 or maybe later in school, because I go there and I speak. And then people come up to me and I tell them to visit other clinics. In fact, Preston, you've probably seen this over the years at Woodbury Spine. You have students that come and visit, right?
Oh yeah.
Okay. Well, one of the reasons why I got students that come over there is because I've given them your name. And I have sent them to you because I'm like, you got to see some of these clinics. And I give them a list. And when we get people that have shadowed our clinic, I ask them, have you visited other clinics? And if they're like, well, maybe one, I'm like, okay, you got to go to 10, and you got a lot of work to do. So let me give you some names, and I'll usually give them 5 or 6 names of clinics. And I, of course, give them other big fish clinics that I believe are doing a great service for their communities. And so I give them Woodbury Spine and Dr. Ross in Inver Grove, and Dr. Newman in Mendota, and a bunch of the clinics. And so I want students to see different places. Like, oh yeah, I got to see this one. They have a fitness center in their office. It's amazing. You got to go look at it and you got to experience it. So I don't want to beleaguer this. So let's keep going here. Let me ask Mitch. Okay, Mitch, as an intern. And what I want from you guys is kind of a list of priorities on the top. Why don't you give me the top couple things that you're looking to learn in an internship? Go ahead, Mitch.
Yeah, so the biggest thing I wanted to get out of this, which has gone incredible so far, is the difference between actually running a practice and kind of how school teaches you how chiropractic is supposed to operate. So, obviously, I think Northwestern has done a really great job, but there are definitely parts of it where things they teach us wouldn't necessarily work in the real world. Unless you were maybe only seeing 10 patients a day, it's just a lot of very, very long exams, long treatment times, very exhaustive notes for every visit, things like that, where I've kind of learned with you, like, you can get these things done a lot faster, a lot easier, and still, have incredible outcomes with patients. And kind of just seeing how that operates has been incredible. The other thing too is just exposure to different ways to treat people. Obviously, you talk a lot about how when there's 8 different techniques utilized. Dr. Danny was a Logan graduate. Dr. Ivy uses Webster. Yourself and Dr. Brady practice in different ways. And I think seeing that, and even just how you interact with patients, has been, something I was really hoping to see, and something that's really, made a pretty big difference for me, and even my thoughts on how I'd like to kind of work with people in the future.
How about you, Taylor? Top things, top priorities that you want to learn in your T8.
Yeah. I want to learn how to adjust a wide variety of people. That's has already been expressed with, I mean, even just adjusting as little as right now, I mean, 15, maybe younger in the future, I don't know, but you just don't see that in a school clinic often. And then all the way as old as mid 70s. I think has been kind of some of the patients that I've worked on so far in the clinic experience, and I'm not sure if I'll get the opportunity to work on older patients there, but just to kind of get that variety has been something I'm interested in, especially because I know that there's a lot of skills to grow in adjusting. Um, with that, we only have the age range in a school is anywhere from 20 to, I mean, at the most, maybe 35, 40. We have a friend who's 34, I believe he is. And then, I mean, a couple other people that are older than that, but they also, it depends what group you're in working with and how you get that. So I've mostly been enjoying the developing my adjusting skills, and I know there's a lot to come. I would say apart from that, though, it's the business side. That's something that school just they don't have the time to teach you. So I know, and I have aspirations to own a practice someday. Whether I know if that will come about, you just don't know what the future looks like. But that's something I um, hope to have one day. And learning that in a clinic is something that I value as well. And I don't necessarily just want to be as an intern, just told you're just here to adjust, and then that's it. I want some of the marketing experiences that we've had with Cassandra, and then for anyone else, I know Dr. Ivy and Cassandra was there at that one team doc, and I want to see what it looks like to kind of work with the EHR system and kind of how you guys run it from the back end and all of that stuff that goes into actually running and maintaining a practice.
Um, Noah, maybe it might have been a different experience, but you're pretty close. Obviously, you're the closest one on this call to an internship that's no longer an intern. What were you looking for in your internship?
Um, I was looking for jumping off what Taylor said. Yeah, the business side of things is just something they don't really have time to teach you in school that he noted. And that's just my parents, they own their own business. I kind of grew up in it. Now it's the salon industry. So it's, a different product you're selling, but it's the same thing where you're making relationships and you're providing a service and there is numbers and just outside things that have to go into account for the business to be successful. And that's just something I was interested in. Something I didn't know I was going to be interested in growing up. Christian is a Christ centered or Christ focused practice that Dr. Justin has here. That was just really a no brainer. Just mark it off. I loved everything about that. And then something also I was really interested in is how you can take each department within a clinic and how they can communicate together for the same goal, which is providing the best care for the patients. So those are just some of the things I was looking for.
Okay. Um, so let's do this one quickly. Maybe I'll start with Taylor. What what are you not looking forward to? Like if the chiropractor that you were working with, okay, had you doing stuff, what are you not looking forward to doing? Like you would kind of roll your eyes and go, "Oh, I already know how to do this," or something that would disappoint you. What would that be?
That's a good question. I think for myself, it would be doing stuff that I don't know how to do without the support. I know how to take an x-ray. Like we're taught that in school. But if you guys just said, go take the x-ray, and like I've never been I've never walked through it with you guys and how your style is. And I know that, I mean, that's not necessarily realistic for at least I trust that you guys on the call would probably do to an intern, but I would imagine there's docs out there that just tell their intern to go do it, you know? Um, in that regard, I want to see what are your expectations? What's your flow? You know, how can I do this for you well? Because this isn't my clinic, this is your clinic, and I could do this really poorly, and it could ruin a patient opportunity for yourself as well. So I think in summary, that example, but for everything, just to have some expectations laid. If I didn't have expectations, if I didn't do something with Dr. Brady or Dr. Danny or yourself or Dr. Ivy, and you guys just told me to do it, I could probably figure it out, and I would like the opportunity to grow, but I wouldn't want to do it without kind of seeing how you guys do it first. Um, and then now, I mean, I don't want necessarily someone to hold my hand out the whole thing. Now it's like I know Dr. Brady the other day had me take an x-ray. And honestly, like I appreciated yeah, I know you know what you're doing. Go take the x-ray. And part of me in there was like, I think I know how the flow goes, especially with this whole new x-ray machine. Trying to get this set up right, and we got there, and it's not like I got a mastered flow, but it was nice to also have that trust after some expectations were laid. So kind of a balance of what is the expectation, and then do you trust me to do it by myself?
Right. Um, Mitch, anything to add to that as far as
Yeah, I think Taylor covered it pretty well. I mean, really, what you guys have done a really good job with is not covering things we already know. So, like for example, I've sat in on a number of new patient exams, and you guys don't sit there before or after with me and be like, "This is how you take a history," like things
Hmm.
like that, where it's like you know that we've done this and we've got a pretty solid understanding of it, or even just like adjusting. Like you guys have all covered, some different adjusting techniques that we haven't been taught in school, but you're not sitting there from day one teaching us how to adjust generally. Like you guys all know, and you have us work on you and everything, so you kind of see where we're at with that. But things like that, where you're not, starting from scratch. You guys have an understanding that although we have a ways to go, we have an understanding in a lot of these things, and you're not trying to teach us from zero. You're trying to add on to what we already know. So I think that's something that would definitely be a little frustrating if, you know, had to spend a lot of time just covering things that you and I both know that
you already know?
Taylor and myself already have covered. So
Okay, let's switch gears a little bit. I'm gonna ask Dr. Brian and Dr. Brady this question. So, what are you guys? And maybe I'll ask Brian first here. So, Brian, I know you've got an intern for the first time. Um,
Yes.
what are you expecting? So, this is great for young interns to hear from a young doctor that now is taking on an intern. What are you expecting to get from an intern? Why do you have an intern?
I have an intern to kind of continue the model of what Big Fish is, which is to pay it forward. I don't believe in gatekeeping the information of here's how to just run a business, be a good doctor, do that stuff. Here's how we're going to refine your technique, stuff like that. Um, so a big part of it is just kind of giving back. Honestly, having that heart to give back is a big part of the Big Fish program. And obviously there is the fringe benefits, or I mean direct benefits, I guess actually you could say, of like having them do cash notes and stuff. We're still early on it, so I haven't offloaded like much responsibility, but it is fun to have the atmosphere of, hey, if there's like 3 or 4 people waiting in the queue or something like that, and they are comfortable with it, we have an intern available to get you adjusted. And especially with the families, I take care of multiple families that are 4, 5, 6. We have 2 tables in the open adjusting room. We can get them adjusted side by side. We can get a couples adjustment going, and we kind of joke about that with the kids. It's like, hey, do you guys want to have a race, see who gets done first? Or with the couples, it's like, you guys want to do a couples adjustment? And it's just a great way to kind of get the flow going a little bit faster without that keep breathing down your neck kind of feeling where you're just like, I got 4 people saying I gotta go. It takes the pressure off so that way you can take your time with the patient. Um, but yeah, overall, the biggest thing that I like about it is just kind of educating and giving back. It feels good because that's what was done for me, and it made a huge difference in my existence as a business owner and as a chiropractor. And yeah, that's where I'm at. Kind of
Yeah.
touching on some of the things that the intern said about their expectations and what Jeff said. I do think it's a great idea to outline for any prospective intern that you're going to take in. Dr. Jeff coached me to say, reach out to my current intern, Molly, and say, hey, what are 3 things that you want to get out of this term? I think that sets things up great because then as the doc what your expectation is and if you can meet that. And so hers were like, I want to work on CTs. I want to get my hands on more kids, and we're able to achieve those things. And then likewise, the other thing is I told her I want like complete candor. Like, feel free to speak your mind. If you're like, well, why did you do that? Ask me, um, stuff like that. But that's kind of my summary of my experience so far. We're only a couple weeks into it, but it's going well.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And just so everybody who listens to this knows, Brian, I think your opportunity to have an intern there, so the opportunity for the intern at your office is tremendous. Not only because you're a great doctor with a great heart and all of that, but you're the only employee there.
Yeah. And
So
I actually think that was really humbling to hear from your interns was that their worst fear of like, what's the worst thing that you could do as an intern wasn't what I had expected them to say. I thought that they were going to say, sit at the front desk or clean the rooms or, you know, shovel the walk, the mundane stuff. But I think that this program has always attracted individuals who have a thirst to learn every aspect of what it takes to run a business, not just the doctoring part.
Mhm.
yeah,
Can I add on to what he's saying too?
yeah,
I appreciate the mindset that you shared, Dr. Bryant, and then also that you guys believe in the pay it forward because full disclosure, and I mean, as you guys know too, like most interns know that we can take patients, we can increase your patient volume and not get paid for it. So, like, if we can detect that we're being used in that way, it's almost insulting.
great,
And I
great.
don't feel like that's what we have here, even though, like, yeah, that is a possibility, and that's a reality, honestly, being in your guys' clinic.
Yes,
But we don't feel used like that, and you guys have done a really good job not making us feel that way, nor do I believe you guys make any interns feel that way.
yes. It's no, thank you so much for saying that, Taylor. Right? These
Hmm.
are the like the hidden skeletons in the closet. Okay,
Hmm.
because there are doctors out there that just want a free set of hands to adjust an overflow of patients. They want an intern to just do ultrasound on people's butts all day long because if it's $22 for every time that they ultrasound somebody's hamstrings or butt or whatever, that person's making you money. Okay, but it's about the intent, and I'm not saying, Taylor, that you're getting out of having to do that, but we don't do that in our office. But let's just say we had ultrasound in our office, and I asked you to work on somebody's hamstrings, you would do it because you
Hmm.
know that that's not my intent, right?
Hmm.
Um, the intent has to be right. The pay it forward aspect of this has to be present. You have to care about the future of chiropractic. You have to care about the future doctors that you are having an influence on. And you better be a good influence on these people. It better be the right influence. And I'm not perfect. Nobody on this call is perfect. But if our intentions are good, to pay it forward, and if our intentions are good to help young people become successful in their own practice, then that's a good thing. And this young intern that gets to work with Dr. Brian, yeah, Brian's going to say, hey, can you take the next 40 minutes and answer the phones? Hey, I've got these 3 new patients. Can you call the insurance company? Can you check the insurance benefits for these 3 people for me? that's invaluable. That's important for them to learn that, to make those phone calls, to get online and look those up in the portals, to call an attorney's office and get the status on a auto accident patient. To excuse me, I never asked an intern to do anything that I haven't done myself, and that includes cleaning puke off the floor, cleaning poop that got stepped on into the carpet in our pediatric area, um, hauling away diapers, doing anything and everything. There's stuff that happens, right? And sometimes the best time to do those things for the first time is in someone else's clinic, so you can make mistakes on somebody else's dime, right? So and that's the hard part for us as doctors. Sometimes we're giving you things to do that if you screw up, you're going to cost us money. And
Mhm.
we don't get paid. I mean, we get a little gift card from the school bookstore, but we don't get paid to take on interns. And in some ways, interns cost us money, not just with our time and energy and that kind of thing, but sometimes mistakes get made, billing mistakes. It happens, and that's just the way the cookie crumbles. You got to be willing to deal with that. But there's definitely ways to benefit from it as well, if your intent is in the right spot. Brady, let me ask you a different question, and this will be really interesting for the interns to hear this too. Brady, what disappoints you about an intern? And you've seen a lot of them over the years. Just so everybody knows, I've had over 175 interns in my practice.
Wow.
175. It's probably, I have three now, so maybe we're at 180 now. But Brady, you've seen a lot of those come and go, and you've seen some good ones and some bad ones. What are the ones that are, in your mind, the bad ones?
Yeah, to put this out there right away, it's neither of the two we have right now. The that we have right now is some of the strongest that I've seen come to this clinic, which is awesome. So cheers to you guys. But when it comes to like disappointments that I see in interns is to kind of go back to something that was mentioned earlier. Someone saying that this is not the demographic that they're going to be practicing on or whatever it might be. To me, if you say that, then why are you even an intern at our clinic? Because you came shadowed, you thought this would be a good fit, and then all of a sudden you're telling myself or one of the other doctors or one of the other interns, eventually makes it back to myself, Dr. Jeff, or whoever's in charge. You're telling us that no, this isn't how I plan to practice. Well, I'm glad you're getting the experience, but at the same point, this is how this clinic operates. This is how we function. We don't want to necessarily throw wrenches into those situations. And if it's a demographic that you say you don't want to practice on, well, you also don't get to choose who. That's always a struggle point when someone or an intern comes in saying that, "Oh, this is not necessarily what I want to do or not the people I want to practice on." Well, chalk it up to experience, but still give effort, because that's where it usually lands very flat and comes across very evidently that um, effort is not there. Uh, and with that, effort is another big thing. So, are they engaged during adjusting hours? Are they engaged during any sort of training I do with them? Um, One of the things I was kind of writing down here is like, as someone that directs our interns and helps them kind of learn our systems here, is what's the difference between an intern wanting to do something correct or right versus them being an annoyance, and or them just not having the competency to grasp on what you're saying, actually take it and put it into motion. So a lot of that comes with how much effort they're actually putting forth. I mean, that's not to say you can't have a intern who wants to do anything and everything, but if they're not grasping what you're teaching them, then you're putting more and more effort in yourself to review, go over things multiple times, even though you've had those conversations with them, and it's 2-3 months into the internship and they should know about it already and be streamlined with the process or the procedure, whatever it might be. So, you know, having that effort there is always good. One of the things you say, Jeff, all the time is whatever you put into an internship is what you're going to take out. And I wholeheartedly believe that. I echo it to every single intern that comes in to Northern Light, letting them know I'm not going to sit here and drag you into a new patient or into an ROF. Like, I want to see your initiative and come ask me, can I sit with you? Can I chat with you after an ROF? And we kind of break down reasonings as why you did that. And speak to what Mitch and Taylor talked about too. It's like, I'm not going to patronize any intern and go over exactly how I did the intake. We all know how to take histories. We all know what we're doing. If we get to this point of school and starting an internship, are we, a little rough around the edges? Yes, but for the most part, we know the structures. But if I see an intern actually asking more questions, seeing, why I did something this way, why I didn't talk a whole lot about this, that, or the other. That shows me that they're, invested not only in their education but invested in the clinic that they're at. So those are
Yeah,
just a few.
I would say we just got done having, in terms of asking questions, probably one of the best interns we've ever had, Dr. Matt. He asked me literally 1,000 questions, and I love that because that means he's looking for answers. He knows that he doesn't know the answers to these, and so he was willing to ask the questions. Um, and so, and I sometimes when I coach doctors, okay, or young associates, and I just got done with a coaching call about an hour ago, and I told the young doctor, I said, do you have any questions? Or do you have any challenges in practice? And he said, no. And I said, okay, young man, then you must have the practice of your dreams right now that has you're out of control with all the new patients and all the people that you're seeing. You have no room for improvement. Everything must be perfect. And then there was silence on the phone. Okay. If it's not the practice of your dreams yet, then you should have questions on how to get there. And I'm not saying this to be boastful or whatever, but if you can be in the room and in the practice of someone that has developed $1 million practice, I mean, if you guys could sit down and have lunch with Elon Musk, would you come prepared with a few questions to ask Elon Musk? I would love to ask that guy some questions, right? Or Mark Cuban, okay? Or Mr. Wonderful from Shark Tank. Would you like to sit down and have lunch with those guys, okay? And just pick their brain. Come to a coaching call with questions. And interns, come with questions. If there isn't a question a day, okay, here's the challenge, Mitch and Taylor, okay? If you don't have a question a day, then everything must be perfect and you know everything, right? And it can be the dumbest question, like why is the waste paper basket in that spot? Why'd you do that? I mean, it doesn't have to be like this groundbreaking thing, right? So the more questions somebody asks, the more I believe somebody cares about what they're doing. And likewise, we've had interns that they will sit around and be working on their fantasy football team and trying to figure out who they're going to start and who they're not going to start, right? And they're doing that when they should be asking questions of maybe the billing team on how to bill appropriately, so that in practice someday they can do it appropriately. You've got every opportunity to sit next to somebody who that's their job is to do billing. So you're surrounded by opportunity to learn from people much smarter than me, like Jordan in our office who runs the front desk, or when Dion was here full time, she was doing all the billing, or Cassandra with the genius inside of her head in marketing and social media and everything else that she deals with, or Dr. Brady and his experience. You know, there's always something to learn, but you got to take initiative. And I think that's what Brady was getting at too, is take initiative. You want to learn something, take initiative, because I'm not going to ask you every time, like, do you want to come in to this new patient with me? I've got a mom and a daughter who's 3 years old. Do you want to see how we process a 3-year-old new patient? Do we take x-rays? Do we not? I mean, what do we do with them? What kind of a plan do they start? You know, do we bill insurance for that? Do we have a family plan if they're cash? I mean, there's 1,000 questions. And so, and I want to tap on this because I think this is one of the biggest reasons why doctors don't take interns, or don't add associates to their office, because they feel inadequate. Doctors, they underestimate what they have to give to the next generation of chiropractors. They underestimate what's in their head, and they think it's not valuable because they don't know what to coach you on as an intern. So I could look at Mitch and I could say, Mitch, man, I don't know what to teach you. How about everything? You know, you just have to get it from your brain and from your heart out of your mouth, you know, and allow them to see it. You get to model it in your office, but you get to verbalize it, you know, talking about how to do a spinal screening, how do you get into the community, how do you do a talk. I think Brady's going to be doing a talk on arthritis. That might be something that maybe an intern would want to know. What do you mean you do a talk on arthritis? Yeah, come along, come watch me, come hear me. Let's go do it. You know, be involved in it. You know, that kind of thing. There's so much that every chiropractor who's been out for more than a few years can give, and you just have to get it out of your mouth and teach. And I think that's probably the biggest thing, is just getting over the fact that, yeah, you got to be a little bit organized. And maybe this is one of my faults, okay? And so I'm just letting my guys know here. I don't always have an idea of what I'm going to teach you today. You know, I don't have like this list of 50 things, although I could probably sit down and make it. Maybe I should, Cassandra, put that on our list. 99 things to teach interns, okay? We're going to do it. 99 things to teach interns. We're going to make the list. And there you go. Now you've got your list that you can use to now slowly drip into your interns to teach them to pay it forward. I think a lot of doctors feel like they're not worthy of being a mentor, and it's just plain and simple not true. Okay. Now, a bad internship, we've talked a little bit about bad internships where doctors are just using people. Thank you for bringing that up, Taylor, because that's the gorilla in the room, the elephant in the room. You know, you want to learn everything you can from this doctor, and they don't want, you know, they want to, like a doctor wants to be able to utilize you to get some stuff done in the office, you know, but you don't want, the relationship should be symbiotic. It should not be, you know, it should be out in the open. Yes, you're going to do some stuff that helps the clinic be more profitable and make more money, but you're going to learn how to do these things so you can apply it to your own practice someday, you know. And yes, we have expectations. My expectation is when you walk in here that you're effective in helping someone. I don't care who it is. It might be helping at the front desk. It might be helping the billing person. It might be helping, you know, call insurance companies or clean some equipment in the PT gym. Okay, it could be that something that simple, but it's helpful. Just be helpful and be involved and enjoy being involved in a successful clinic that is on mission, and feel what it feels like to be here. So I'm going to switch gears just slightly here to associateship. So I'm going to talk to Noah and Preston a little bit here. So in your associateship, okay, what are you looking forward to doing the most? Preston, we'll start with you.
Well, the reason I became an associate is I knew about chiropractic, but I needed someone to teach me a little bit more, right? And I think that's where a lot of interns or people in chiropractic school, they come in, they want to work on NFL players or NBA players right away, right? And it's like, okay, come on, let's be realistic here. But the biggest thing is, I didn't know how to run a business, and I didn't know really where I wanted to be. Um, you know, whether it was in Burnsville or Woodbury, I didn't know. I didn't know. So that's where I took the step. I just wanted to be an associate so I can learn. Any young doctor that comes out of school and wants to start their own practice, I always say, good luck, because you don't know what the heck you're doing. And that's why I think the associateship is really valuable. I got to work under, obviously, Dr. Justin, but really I worked with Dr. Koo. Right, Dr. Koo was able to lay out the ropes for me, whether it's with team doc, whether it's with starting seeing patients. I remember Dr. Koo. He's like, "All right, come to this team doc with me," and then I went and watched him, and he said, "All right, you're gonna do the rest for the rest of the season." And I didn't ask. I might have been cussing under my breath a little bit, but the same breath, I'm glad he said, "Here you go, take the reins. This is what it's all about. This is how you bring in patients, and you start your own mini practice within the practice." So there's a lot of things that go in with an associateship, but the biggest thing is like what Dr. Cruz said earlier, it's just about mentorship. I needed a mentor. Obviously, I found you, Jeff, in the internship. You didn't want me, so you sent me away to Dr. Justin. But then I thought, fell in love with the people here, and I'm learning every day. I've been here for 4 years, but I'm still learning how to do small things. And I go bother Dr. Justin. I'm like, "Hey, I have this stupid question. I need you to look at this X-ray for me." He's like, "I literally asked you the same question yesterday, so it's not a dumb question." But I just think you got to learn. You got to learn how to be a good doctor. You got to learn how to live the lifestyle. There's a lot of great value in being an associate.
Yeah. Well, and I think there's even more value in being an associate at a big fish clinic, because the idea is to pay it forward and to
Yeah.
do more clinics, because we are not, Big Fish is not your normal chiropractic clinic and organization. We are all about paying it forward and going big. Go big or go home, right? It's like, let's go. Let's do it together to the benefit of everybody, and it makes for our profession being better. And that's the ultimate goal, is to make our profession better, and we do that by giving back to the people that are coming behind us. Allow them to stand on our shoulders. Okay, don't think small. Don't put the blinders on and just focus on yourself. Yes, you're going to build yourself and you're going to make yourself stronger, but you're going to do that by helping more people doing bigger things. And I'm not saying, get out of control by doing too many things. Okay, I'm not saying that. You got to do it smart. Okay, and that's why you need mentorship. And if we have that right intent, if our intent is in the right place, our heart is in the right place, then we're going to make a difference in our profession. And that's just the plain and simple truth. Wow. It's not too often where we get to the end of a podcast or a boot camp like this, and I think it should probably go an hour, maybe 2 hours longer. This is one of those situations. I think we could have covered a lot more ground, but we covered a lot of ground that I think is helpful. So hopefully you were blessed by this and you learned something from these young doctors, and now have a little bit better idea on how we can attract young people, how we can make a win for the profession. How do we make chiropractic better? And ultimately, that's our goal. How do we make chiropractic more successful in this country? Because if we do that, we are going to help so many people lead healthier lives. So I'm glad you could be with us for this episode of ChiroFEAST. Stay hungry, my friends. And as always, pay it forward.